Tremendous qualifying session we've just seen here at Spa. The McLaren's on the front row of the grid, but terrific stuff from Damon Hill. Michael Schumacher could be in a bit of trouble. We're joined up here by Martin Brundle. Moving pretty quickly yourself, Martin, by the way. Excellent session. I just want to talk to you about the Schumacher situation. What do you make of it?
Well, it was quite clear for everybody to see, wasn't it? He overtook with a yellow flag waving. There's two types of yellow flag, a stationary one and a waving one, and the waving one clearly has more significance. Very high-speed part of the racetrack, and the marshals were quite right. You had a car broken down on the side of the road, so Michael's got some answering to do. I'm
sure he has, and of course we'll talk about it in your special a bit later this afternoon, and before we leave in just under 10 minutes time or so. But the actual session itself, Tony, it was the McLaren's really battling for pole.
I think that's a result of the great testing work that they've been doing at Monza and at Silverstone. They split the testing. Coulthard was down at Monza. Hakkinen was at Silverstone with Riccardo Zonta. The thing that amazes me from the cockpit is how stable the McLarens are. It seems that they have gained an aerodynamic advantage, because specifically at Silverstone, they were working on the setup for Spa-Francorchamps. And here where we've seen, as Marty's pointed out during the commentary, people bouncing over those curbs there and then straight lining it as they go through the end of the bus stop and past the old light there. The McLaren has looked fantastic. It's looked so stable, as it has everywhere this year, and you shouldn't underestimate how strong it will be here at Spa.
It's a tricky scenario for David Coulthard, isn't it? He's got to be a team player now, hasn't he? But he's rarely had a better qualifying session than this one this year.
Yeah, I think he did a very good job today, and I know when I see him in a few minutes' time, he's going to have a long face, because I think he'd be very disappointed to have lost that provisional pole. He had to respond to Mika Hakkinen, and he did so in absolutely fine style. You could see the car dancing around on the way into the bus stop there. Total commitment on the exit, snatches by a fraction that sort of provisional pole, and I think he probably would have expected he got that in his pocket, and he's going to be very, very disappointed. Ron Dennis there congratulating him just 2 seconds after he actually went over the line, which is nice.
And we've been saying, though, Tony, how you got to stay right to the end in these sessions, and Mika Hakkinen, he's done it before, timing it to the last second.
Absolutely superb, but again we said in the commentary that it was 3 failures this year to McLaren and 2 failures to Ferrari. We actually found out on the left front of the McLaren of Hakkinen that failed in Hungary, it was a loose anti-roll bar that got stuck in the push rod. But it's the way that this guy is able to respond just at the end. He is phenomenal, and he has had the edge over David Coulthard this season. There he is back on pole position. He's 9th of this season.
And here comes Damon Hill.
Yeah, Hill in there. Now that's great. I think, and Martin, I think you'd agree with me here that the progress that they've made, if you look at the grid positions, Hockenheim, who was 5th, 4th in Hungary, and now 3rd here, and they made tremendous advances with this Jordan. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's a genuine second row starting position. I mean, Damon's best of the rest after the 2 McLarens, and the way the car looks out on the track, the way Damon's driving, he deserves that, no doubt about it.
It's great the way those yellow Jordans have pulled the season round. The yellow flag, though, for Michael Schumacher, that's what they're all chatting about at the moment. We can see it now. It just seems tough to me that he flies around the corner and all of a sudden he sees a yellow flag, and, I mean, he can't just stop dead.
Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. What you're supposed to do is just lift off. They've got these computer times, and look at that incredible commitment through Blanchimont there. And now the car is out of play. I would sympathise. If I was Michael's manager, I'd be in there with him saying, look, car's out of play, it's clear to see. He's already at top speed. He knows he's on the brakes anyway for the corner, and he was right to carry on. But the stewards are going to say, look, buddy, as I said earlier, we decide when the flags are out and what kind of flags are waving. You pay attention.
Right, that's what you think the stewards are going to say. Let's see what Michael Schumacher himself has to say about it. James Allen has managed to snatch a word with him.
Michael, an absolutely fantastic effort at the end, but you must be disappointed that Damon got in front of you there.
I'm not so worried particularly about Damon, to be honest. I couldn't do a full lap because I had to slow down of yellow flags. In the last sector, when the Benetton was stopped there, it cost me a couple of tenths, which would have been enough for 3rd position, but I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried on the situation that we're about a second or more than a second behind.
What do you make of that, Martin?
That's very good positioning, isn't it? It's like, okay, so I was faster, but I would have been faster again if I hadn't have lifted off for the yellow flag. So you can see he's already got his line ready for when he has to go in and see the boss.
don't think he's going to be a politician when he packs in racing.
Probably.
Jordan very much affected by what's going to happen to Michael Schumacher in that particular instant. Eddie Jordan has got his views, I'm sure. Here he is talking to Louise Goodman.
Down with Eddie Jordan with Damon Hill in third place. Eddie, you were looking a bit miserable halfway through that session. That must have put a smile on your face now, though.
Well, a little bit apprehensive. I felt that if we were ever going to qualify Michael, it would be here. I'd like to do it. Because Michael is such a master around here. He's won so many races, and to out-qualify him with particularly the growth in the team and Damon's performance particularly today and over the last couple of races, you know, it's a huge boost for the team overall and great boost for the Jordan people.
Few discussions going on the pit wall towards the end of that session when Michael set a faster time under yellows. What were you talking about? What would you have done?
No, I just asked Damon because he was up behind Michael at the time, and I asked, was the flag waved or was it stationary? And Damon said it was stationary, so there was no problem. I mean, not that we wanted to know, it's just we'd like to keep an eye on things.
So you're third on the grid. What chance of third at the end of the race?
Sounds very nice to me. If you can organise it, Louise, I'll accept it.
I'm sure he would accept it, and that's how things line up. Those McLarens up front again, Hill and Schumacher 3 and 4. Irvine's done well, we haven't mentioned him, to get into 5th place. Jacques Villeneuve, a good drive from Villeneuve, especially bearing in mind what happened to him yesterday, Martin.
Yeah, he was wringing its neck, wasn't he? Every possible opportunity. The last round, he was just a bit over the top, actually, but I mean, it'd be disappointing, I would think, for him to drive like that and end up just 5th on the grid. Shows you Williams have got a little bit more work to do to get the back end of the car a bit more stable.
Just briefly from both of you finally, well, what's your best guess about the race tomorrow? Tony, you first of all.
It depends on the weather, obviously, but I think the Ferrari will be...
You're a brave man.
I just think that Schumacher will be mighty. They've just been working on the car for race trim. They're not really worried about qualifying, as long as in the first 2 rows. That's how I think, and I think it's going to be very strong and difficult for McLaren to beat Schumacher in the form he's in.
Martin, what do you think?
Well, you've already heard Michael say, I don't care about the yellows. Actually, I'm worried because I'm slower than the McLaren. It's clear to see the McLaren has a speed advantage. 44 laps around here. If Ferrari are going to win this race tomorrow, they've got to outsmart McLaren, and I think McLaren will be a bit... Well, they did last time, but I think McLaren will be a bit sharper this time around.
Thank you very much for joining us, Martin. Of course, your show this afternoon, we're hoping that Michael Schumacher will be here to have a word with us. There's also a parent's eye view of Eddie Irvine. Join Murray and Martin for that at 4:15. And tomorrow our coverage of the Belgian Grand Prix is at 12:30. Highlights, reaction and analysis at 10:45 tomorrow night. What a prospect as well, those McLarens up front, and then the Spa Masters. Damon Hill, winner in 93 and 94, and Schumacher, 95, 96, 97, and 98. We'll see. Bye-bye.
If you would like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by F1 Racing Magazine is www.itv-f1.com.